Welcome back to Hear Our Voices. Thank you for coming again for John's part 3 of the podcast. This will be the last installment of this story, this podcast, and I hope you enjoy. Sit back and relax. Get some popcorn, clean up if you want to, do whatever you want to do, exercise while you listen to our podcast. And if you also could check out the other podcasts, we have 3 seasons worth of podcasts. So if you missed the first 2 seasons, or if you're just joining us for this particular season, go and check out the rest that we have. We would love to see your comments on, YouTube. We would love to see your comments on different social media platforms. What do you like about the podcast? What you have taken away from the podcast? Things like that. Also, follow us on all our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. The links will be down below. Also, check out our resource packet that the fellows and myself came up with to help you with different needs that you might have for yourself. And also, we are hiring for another fellow for the Family Homeless Coalition, and we would love for you to come and join our team. I'm gonna say 2 of the requirements, but we definitely have much more, is that you are bilingual, that you speak Spanish and English. Because, if you don't know, we have another side of the podcast. It's a Spanish podcast. You are not going to be the voice. If you want to, you could. I'm just saying, if you think that's going to deter you from being a part of it, no, we just need a person to help with that side. And when we do different things, we need a person who can speak Spanish and translate things in Spanish. Also, we would love that you can be a person with lived experience. That's the top requirement. That you're a person with lived experience in shelter with a child under 18. So family shelter experience with a child under 18 in the shelter of New York City. So just check out the description down below. I know I gave you a lot of information, but just check out the things I told you, and also just follow us on all social media platforms, guys. Thank you and bye.
I think one of the things that we're doing that is because of what you're saying is we're piloting a project where young people who are experiencing homelessness get cash, $1,250 a month for 2 years every month, and then they also get supportive services if they want them, but they're not required to get the services if they don't want them or they don't find them helpful. Most of them are using the services, and most of them really value the services, but it's not a requirement to get the cash. And part of it is because of what you're saying, we create all these programs that are really hard to get to access. There's all these different rules for an eligibility. And if you have one thing that's different, you don't fit in this box, then you don't get any help. Or to keep it, it's really hard, or doesn't fit your situation, or you can get it, but it takes a really long time to get, and you're in trouble until then. We have a solution for this, which is cash. Right. Cash allows people it understands that people know what they need to fix their situation, and things that you were describing, like extra food and getting your hair done, little things that the government might not think are important. You understand the value of it to your life and your well-being. You may be interviewing for jobs, and you may need to feel confident in how you look, and you want to look good when you go on a job interview.
Exactly.
And because people want to hire someone that looks together, and so you might know what you need. You do know what you need more than anyone else. The other thing is, we're already doing this. So this is the craziest thing that we don't connect. If you're a homeowner and you have a mortgage and you pay taxes, right, you get to deduct your mortgage interest on your taxes. That's a complicated, but the government gives you a check. The average check is about $15,000 as a housing subsidy. When you file your taxes, they don't make you go to an office. You don't have to, get fingerprinted. You don't have to fill up forms other than your taxes, which you're already doing anyway. They don't tell you what to spend the cash on.
Right.
They don't send it on an EBT card that can only be used in certain places for certain things. They just fold it into your taxes so that it feels like you don't even realize you're getting this subsidy. You're getting a housing welfare check, but it's hidden. It's folded into your taxes. And the richer you are, the more expensive your home, the bigger your mortgage, the more money you get.
Right.
Whereas everyone else is like, I make $1 more than the cutoff for food stamps or for for my rent subsidy, and I don't get anything.
Exactly.
System, the more you make, the more you get in subsidy.
Right.
And it's totally flexible. We let you spend it. You don't have to spend it on your mortgage interest if you don't want to. If you want to spend it on a family vacation because you think that's what your family needs right now for your kids to recover and do better in school, you get to make that decision.
Right.
So we need a similar system for everybody, a similar system that treats everybody the same, that acknowledges that everybody knows better than anyone else what's best for them, and that gives people predictable, regular support, and that allows them to make sure that they have a home. And so that's that was a great, like all you're saying it's tangents, but it's not tangents. We all live intersecting lives. Right. Where things, food, housing, jobs, healthcare, mental health, all of those things are happening at the same time to all of us. And we're having challenges and successes and failures and ups and downs and all of those things at once. We need flexibility and stability to be able to handle all those challenges ourselves and support when we want it, when we need it. So, the system we have right now isn't for wealthy people. And because of the history I described, that's mostly white people. It is designed to be like that. It gives you that check every year when you file your taxes. You can predict it, and you have flexibility in doing what you want with it. And we spend as a country way more on that than we spend on Section 8 or food stamps or any one of those programs.
Right.
The size of the mortgage interest subsidy program that our government is using to subsidize homeowners used to be like $100 billion a year, which is, I'll tell you, is way bigger than public housing, than what we spend on Section 8, than what we spend on food stamps, combined probably. So we have the money. We're just not being just and equitable and fair in how we put it out into the world. So that's what we need to change. And we all need to join together to push for that change.
That is so true. Like, this has come up before with me and somebody else, Samantha. If you guys seen in season 1, she came on and told us about things. I want to say Riseborough, I believe. And she was talking about like home ownership and how people don't think about how basically homeowners are getting checks every year for this, like John said, and people think about like, public assistance is getting something or Section 8 is getting something, but if you own a home, you get money back. It's not frowned upon because you have a home and you're getting money back in your taxes. And I think also could be knowledge. People just don't know it when you have a house that happens to you. Like, I'm thinking, honestly, I want to buy a home. I can't really afford it in New York City, and I don't want to move anywhere else. I still want to get it. But I think about it, if I think about it how John is saying it, I can literally get a check for it every single year. And they have like first home buyers. They have even programs to help you to get a home. New York is very expensive right now, guys. So probably not right now until interest rates die down a little bit. But if you can afford it, get it, because it's kind of almost cheap if you think about it compared to rent. The only thing, if something breaks, you got to fix it. That's the only thing I think about with the home. It's like you want to get a home, but if the pipe bursts or something like that, it's not like you're calling the landlord to fix it. You are your own landlord. So you have to make sure you have enough money for that. So I'm not telling you to go outside and just like buy a home, go crazy. You got to think about everything that is entailed. If you have an HOA fee, I think that's what it's called. You gotta make sure your house is up to standards. It just can't be that's out there being an eyesore to your community either, depending on where you live. Some areas they have to keep it up more than others, especially if you live in like Long Island or something like that. They're very, very strict, and their taxes are very high over there. But they say they also have better school systems, so it depends on where you live. But it's a lot that go into it, but they do make a lot of money, and they don't put it out there like, oh my gosh, we're getting a subsidy, but technically you get one every year. But a person who lives in Section 8 or city FEPS or something like that, you're frowning down and looking at them crazy, because people do all the time. Like, somebody asked me about a voucher because they wanted to get a person a voucher at their home, and they was like, in their mind, I'm explaining to them so they can understand what's going on, and they're like, no, But also, I'm not gonna lie to you, vouchers do pay late, so people get tired about that too. That's a different story for a different time. But it's like they're like, I want to get the money. Da da da. I understand you want to get your money because a person's living there, using your water, your light, and all these things, so it makes sense. But it's like you get every year you get money from from your taxes. Like it just, to me, people don't see it like that, but it's basically the same thing. It just is done in different ways, so it doesn't look a certain way. And as John said, people who benefit most from it is white people, to be honest. But the rest of us don't really know. Even for me, I do a contract. Most of my jobs are contract jobs, right? People don't know that you can put so much things in your taxes for a contract job, like transportation, even certain clothes if it's work clothes, things like that. But if you don't have the knowledge on it, you're not going to do it. You're just going to pay out because your taxes when you have a contract job, it costs is a lot. The taxes are crazy because you're not paying taxes every month. So when you do your taxes for the year, you're paying out a lot of taxes because they didn't take it the whole year, right? So, but if you put a lot of things in expenses, that money goes less and less and less. But when you're not educated on these things, like certain other people are, you kind of just like, all right, whatever. I forget that coffee that you got at Dunkin' Donuts at a meeting could be put into your taxes because you did it at a meeting for your job. So it's all about knowledge in these things. I think honestly, certain things like this, example, the cash program he said for the youth, if I feel like and I feel like it should be probably even middle class, because honestly, people middle class because they can't get certain like help in food stamps. I'm kind of middle class. I'm like lower middle class at this point, right? We can't get certain things from the city. I think that cash program should probably be done for middle class kids and down, all kids in New York City or anywhere in the U.S. To be honest, because I feel like you're leaving high school. Sometimes you might have like 4 other siblings, and you honestly it's too much for a 2-bedroom apartment to have these bunch of kids in there. And you might want to move out. You might want to do something else. You might be going way out of state to school, but because you are a resident in New York, you can have that money still with you while you're in college. You can buy books or something like that if you can't afford it. Because when you move from state to state for school, you don't get all the financial aid you're supposed to get because you're not in that state anymore. That can help out a child to eat or something like that. And I feel like if they did this for all kids, like I know they right now they have a program in Corona that is put like a college fund away for like kindergarten, first grade. But when they started it, my daughter didn't get it cut off, and I'm upset about that. But beggars can't be choosers. I'm happy some kids are getting something, But I feel like sometimes they start with the younger kids. But right now, kids are leaving high school this year, in the next couple of years. By the time those first graders and kindergartners get it, it's gonna be like 12, 10, 11 years from now, yeah, we're helping them, but what about the kids right now who's going to be kind of suffering when they're leaving high school? Or even foster children. There's a lot of foster kids are graduating high school, and when people stop getting the check at 18, them kids are out in the street. Or kids who are getting adopted, them kids are out in the street. So you have to make you'd be surprised, a lot of youth who are in New York City is from 18 to 24. A lot of them are foster kids. You'd be very they supposed to get help, and some of them don't know what help they can get, so they just kind of go in the system and they kind of are lost out there in the world. And it's supposed to be before they kick them out of the system. I think it's until 21, I believe. Don't quote me on this age, but they're supposed to get them the proper skills to survive. But with all the kids that we have in the system, it's hard to get everybody on board, even though that's their job. But the system is overwhelmed. A lot of things are overwhelmed. And there's not enough staff to honestly do it. So kids are out there just kind of trying to make it fake it till they make it, to be honest, right? So if we start off every kid as they turn, some kids graduate high school at 17, depending in New York City, we're done by year. So if your birthday, like example, mine was supposed to be when I graduated when I was 17, my birthday is in November. So I would get the money I think at 17. I think that'd be proper, or 18, or wherever you graduated high school. If you graduated 16 and you want to move out, I feel like if you can afford it and have extra money to do so, you should be able to do that. If you're going to college out of state, that might just, travel with you. I think that's what we should do. Long you graduate high school and get a GED, because something could have happened that you don't finish actual high school, you get a GED, that still counts. If you're like 30 and get your GED, I feel like you shouldn't get that money. I'm just saying. But if you're like in a age range from like 25 and down and get your GED or high school diploma, I think you should qualify for this money and be able to start your life off great. Because a lot of times I was lucky enough to have a bank account made for me when I was younger, and to have a little cushion, not like a lot, but it was a good amount not a good amount. It was like $1,000 change. It's not a lot, but it's still it's better than not having no money, going out in the college world, just have nothing. So I think if we gave those kids, that money every month, like how John is saying, like I think he said $1,200 every month for 2 years. that you could build a nice little savings, especially if you're living on campus and if you're getting financial aid and scholarships and all these things. You might have enough money by the time if you save all that money up to get a house when you get out of college. Or a lot of people when they leave college, they have so much debt they could pay that back or get somewhere to live or something like that. So it's like this could help out us, and it could honestly help out the economy, because once people have money, the economy gets more money because they have to spend on food, clothes, rent. It's, to me, it's like a circle of life. There's a line here. We
It's
all do this together as a group, you know?
Is
I
that
think that would be great.
it's not new. We did this. So like the whole reason we have home ownership in the country is because of the Depression. We were in trouble. No one had money. Everyone was losing their job. The people who did own their homes were losing them in foreclosure. And we did something about it. We created a new thing, a new kind of mortgage that let people who couldn't afford houses afford them. And then created a huge subsidy for that to help them stay there. And we can do it again. We did it for one group of people and it worked super well. Now, make sure we do it for everybody. You know, like let's create a new kind of mortgage that lets people today who can't buy homes, just like the way we did it 100 years ago in the Depression. Like, let's do it again for everybody. Let's create a new program that lets people buy their own home and stay in their own home and build up wealth. Just like we've done it before, we can do it again. And you were talking about giving people with kids money. We did it for a year during the pandemic. We created credit. We cut it off, and it worked. It lifted millions and millions of kids out of poverty. Like, and it's this exact same thing as the mortgage interest subsidy. You know, like it's just a tax credit. We give $15,000 as a subsidy to homeowners who are paying a mortgage. We did the same thing for people with kids. Instead of doing it all at once, they paid it out every month because that's more predictable and more helpful to families. But it's not any different than what we're doing for homeowners already. It's just acknowledging that, you know, like what you were saying, home ownership is tough. You have a lot of expenses and you're like if something breaks, you're responsible for maintaining it. So to support those people, we give them cash every year in their taxes. Raising kids is really important and really tough. Having that is really helpful for the families and for the kids and for all of us. If those families are well, we're all well. If those kids have stable childhoods, everybody benefits. And so it's worth it to give those families a little bit of that tax credit money every month so that they're more stable, they have more cushion. If there's a shock, you know, they can absorb it, they can handle it, they can predict, they can plan. Like we've already done it. We already know it works. Let's keep doing it. Let's do more of it. Let's make sure we do it for everybody, especially the people we've cut out from accessing all this stuff for so long. Let's start there. I totally agree.
And that pandemic money was amazing. I'm just saying, I feel like I was the richest in the pandemic. So it seems like, granted, I was home majority of the time, but it's just like you had money to save, you had money to get stuff that you never got before for your kids. Like, my daughter was grateful for that. Christmas was good. She had more presents than I could probably count under the Christmas tree. A lot of them are eyesores now because there's a little bit of toys involved. But it's just like, especially seeing your child have everything that you think your child should get, because no parent want to see their child not have anything, right? You want to see your child to have the best, go to the best colleges, and have the best future. And when you don't see that, it's like you're almost like, I'm a bad parent. Like when I slip up on something, like, man, you know, I did everything else right for the day. That one thing, I'm like, man, I really feel her. I really feel this girl, and I feel so bad for her. So I can understand when a parent doesn't get everything they want for their child. You can feel away. So I feel like what it is, we need to keep the programs going and find a way to sustain it. Also, I feel like, yeah, we can give out money all the time. Granted, it goes back into the economy, as I said earlier. So I guess that's probably the way to sustain it a little bit, because it goes back. If you give a person money and back to school's coming up, they're gonna have to put it back to stores because they have to go have back to school shopping. So that's a way of getting it back into the economy. So I feel like, honestly, if you have a child at a certain income, as they did probably in Corona, and just keep on going with it. They say they want to start it back up. We'll see what happens. We don't know for sure. We don't work in that sector of the world and government or whatever. But that would be pretty cool to have those things for families and things like that, because it's hard out here. It really is hard. to make it. And I feel like in the other states, even in states when it's easier, I guess, living, they're struggling too. So you'd be very surprised right now. A lot of inflation. Before, when I had food stamps, I didn't look at the food prices, but now I'm like, beef costs that much? Before I just picked it up, I'm like, whatever, I need to eat, whatever. Still have to pick it up because I still have to eat regardless. But I'm like, look at the prices now. I'm like, man, I have to really add up all my cents here just to get this to make some tacos. And it's just tacos. So it's like, is it cheaper to go outside and go to Taco Bell than me making it at home? That's everything. I'm like, is it cheaper? I know it's less time. Like I just order it and bring it home. But I think all of these, if we could just all help out each other, like, if they could help us out, we could help them out. It could just be a good circle for us to just kind of live here. It's really hard, but I hope everything that we do, it doesn't go in vain. Hopefully we can really help out the communities that we work for and things like that. Do you have any last word for the people, John?
Yeah, that we're sending all our love out to everybody. We've all been through struggles. We all need to support each other and be on the same team. And I'm so grateful to you, Khadijah, for working with me and for all that we get to do together and for bringing me on today.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming to the Hear Our Voices podcast. If you want to follow us, go on YouTube, go on Facebook, go on Instagram. And we're going to have giveaways coming up again. We had our last giveaway, and the giveaway winner has not come to us yet. So hopefully, there's a couple of days going to run out soon. But hopefully she gets to us in time to get her gift, her prize, her restaurant credits, I could say, for whatever restaurant she picks. Well, the few that we have, like, Applebee's, BBQs, things like that. And if you have any ideas of things we should do or have a giveaway for, we would definitely love to hear your ideas. We might be going live by the time you see this, it already passed. But we're gonna be doing lives on our YouTube channel. So in the future, just check us out on there. You'll see me and probably my other people cohorts, who's working with me behind the scenes, and Lorden, who works on the scenes on the Spanish podcast. If you're a person who also speaks Spanish or who'd love to be on the podcast, I don't do the Spanish version, but Lorden definitely will do that. All you gotta do is DM us at Hear Our Voices. Everything will be linked down below in the link tree. And thank you guys for listening again, and see you next time. Bye, guys.